and I know of going.
Today, we present the story of James Esters, who was born on May 8, 1913 in Kosciuszko, Mississippi. Mr. Esters illustrates the fact that in the rural area, there were not many highly educated African Americans. Because many worked for white people in menial jobs, Mr. Esters describes some of his encounters with racism while growing up in Mississippi and living on a farm where he and his family were sharecroppers. He depicts African Americans as being the tail of the horse, or last, as expressed through his life experiences. He says that many African Americans living in Mississippi and working as sharecroppers preferred the type of work and wages offered by Rath Packing Company and John Deere. He moved to Waterloo and later started a job at Rath Packing in 1941 to 1976, where he was one of the first African Americans to be promoted into an all-white department. Despite Mr. Esters' success, he tells about some of the hardships that he and other African Americans endured while working at the factory. When and where were you born?
I was born in Mississippi, in Teller County, about 3 miles out from Kosciuszko.
Okay.
In the what would you call it? The rural area.
Okay.
And I was born May the 8th in 1913.
May the 8th, okay.
My mother says 5 o'clock in the evening. Mm-hmm. And we stayed down. At that time, my dad, he was a sharecropper.
Your father was you say he's a sharecropper.
Yeah, he
right?
was.
What is that? Could you explain that? When you say sharecropper?
A sharecropper, he is you working on another man's farm. But you met some of the people work. The farmer works on a sharecrop. They work on havens. The owner of the farm, light farm or big farm, plantation or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
He gets half of it when you're working on havens. But
when you say
my
he,
dad,
who is he?
Huh?
You said he. Who is he? Who was the owner? Who was the plantation owner? Was it a white guy, a black guy?
White guy.
It was white guy.
White
okay.
guy. Yes.
Okay.
The black guys most of them didn't have anything. They were just trying to get along, and some of them made it good, and some didn't. And some didn't seem like they wanted anything but just a place to sleep and something to eat.
What was the job market like for a black man growing up in Mississippi during that time period? What was it like?
The way I see it, it was for whatever he could do.
Mm-hmm.
If he was, we were very small educators, wasn't very many. Mm. You didn't find very many highly educated black people in the rural areas. They mostly lived on the farm, working for the white family, and some of them made it good, some of them didn't. But my dad, he had it made no difference where he went. Those guys really liked him.
Do you remember a lot of racism? Did your dad experience a lot of racism and discrimination, as far as getting a job, or yourself even as trying to get a job when you were of age to work? Did you experience a lot of that? Good.
Oh, you were the last thing for everything. You were the last on everything. It's over saying you were the tail of the horse. My mother would send me downtown to get whatever she wanted me to, whatever she wanted, she sent me out. I was the oldest kid amongst the 8. I was the oldest. And I would go to many times. I would walk in the store on Saturday morning to maybe get a couple of dollars worth of this, a dollar or so worth of that. And I might get in that, walking at 9 o'clock, and it might be 2 o'clock when I get out because I'm the tail end. Make no difference if I was first. They gonna wait on the white. The clerks waited on the white first.
This is interesting because you're saying that you had an experience in the grocery store. This was common. This was kind of what was happening.
Yeah.
Black people were last when it came to everything: employment, getting help, services, what have you. Simply checking out in the grocery store.
Mm-hmm.
You would leave Mississippi at like age 22. You would leave Mississippi.
Yeah.
And come to Waterloo. Tell me, why did you make that decision to leave Mississippi, and why did you go to Waterloo?
Well, I tell you, I didn't make the decision. My grandmother, she's the one had something to do with that. She had 3 sons in Waterloo. The oldest son, he'd been here for quite a number of years, and he was working for Rath Packing Company. And the second son, he left when he was 16 years of age, and he came here, and he was working. He worked at John Deere's and the Rath Packing Company too, and things get slack. At the time, when things were going good with John Deere and bad with Rath, well, Rath would had to lay off some of the workers.
Mm-hmm.
John Deere would take them out. And the same thing when John Deere go bad, had to lay some of the workers off, Rath would take them out. Mm-hmm. Well, really, I didn't know that until after I came here. My grandmother's youngest son, he left Cosesco in 34.
34, okay.
And he got a job at John Deere's, and he's working, making good money at that time, real good. And so my grandmother wanted me to come up because we was always together when he was there, going different places and enjoying life. And my grandmother decided to stay home and wanted me to come up here and get me a job. I had worked a many days down there for 50 cents a day. I left with those people that came here. I had $1.50 in my pocket, and when I got here, I had $1. And I spent 50 cents on it, but I was with the friends. I was with friends coming up.
You take the train? How'd you get here?
No, an automobile.
Okay, all right.
See, one of the guys here, a friend of to this lady that my grandmother was gonna come up here with, he was working at John Deere, and he bought a brand new automobile, a Chevrolet, and he sent it to Cosesco for his mother to have a way to come up anywhere she wanted to go. She was a school teacher too,
Mm-hmm.
And so that's who I came up with.
Okay.
This girl that I was going to get married to, that she didn't want me to leave. I told her it wasn't nothing back there where I could make any money and a decent living.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want her in the white man's field chopping cotton,
Okay.
you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so she kind of eased up on that. And after I got here, and I was going around looking for jobs. And most best I could find is shining shoes here in Waterloo.
Really? Shiny shoes?
And I made good money shining shoes.
Okay.
People think that there wasn't no money in shining shoes. But back in those days, a pair of shoes shined for 10 cents a pair.
Okay.
And at the end of the week, you might pick up $100.
I want to know a little bit more about Wrath, because you worked at Wrath, right?
Yeah, I worked at Wrath.
Okay, all right. What were you doing at Wrath?
I was a butcher.
You were a butcher?
I first started to getting the hogs ready to the rest of the workers to dress the hogs.
Okay, all right.
And we was killing about 600 and something an hour.
Okay.
And
that's a lot.
so I worked there a while, and the guy was the head scolder. See, my uncle was a head scolder on the D shift.
Okay.
And this guy was a head scolder on the second shift. And by me being a new hand,
Okay.
I had to take the second shift. That's just like starting at the bottom and working up to the top.
Okay.
And a war broke out. And the guys were going to service. And
Oh, okay. World War II broke out. It took place.
Huh?
Like during World War II?
yeah.
Okay, all right.
Yeah. And so this guy we was on the sculling tube.
Okay.
And sculling tube was about 40 or 50 foot long. And it would be full of hogs. Mm-hmm. And my job was at the tail end, line them up where they could float down correctly, you know.
You retired from Wrath.
Yeah.
For 36 years you were there.
Yeah, 37.
37 years
Yeah.
you were there.
Yeah.
You were there. Here you are working there, you're there all this time, for most of your time living here in Waterloo. Just tell me a little bit about the riots. Do you remember when that riot broke out? There was the riot, the picket, the big picket that took place, and there was the killing.
Oh well, that was something.
Do you
And
remember that?
The guy that done the killing was my brother-in-law.
Oh, okay.
And so he was the type of guy, what you call a bull-headed guy.
Mm-hmm.
And I was looking at him. There's a gang of guys that was out on the strike. That was in 48.
Okay, yeah, the strike, yes.
Yeah,
okay.
48.
That's right.
And so I had been working on the hog kill, and so we had this strike. Well, we was out. I don't forget now how long we was out, but it was long enough for some people to get kind of scared, you know, and that they wasn't going to get back and didn't have no job.
Okay.
He went across the picket line when they opened the door. The company opened the door to start back to work. Everybody want to work, come on in. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, you'd be surprised. The guys well, went in to work. And they done that, and the guys on the outside, they was getting place they didn't like that, and so they started some stuff.
When you retired,
I
in your
retired.
final years there, right before retirement, what position were you at?
I was in the millwright shop.
That's where you retired from.
I was there 25 years in the millwright shop. I started at the bottom now, and about 5 years after I was there, I was an A-class mechanic.
Okay.
And guys had to work with me. I was the top notcher.
Okay.
Oh boy. And well, I got along with the fellows. At first, they didn't want me down there. I had a bunch of white guys down there. Wasn't nothing but white guys. And they didn't want. They didn't want to work with me.
Because you were black, they didn't want to be.
No, they wanted to stay. Whatever.
Okay.
And but
were you the only black
that
guy?
was something they couldn't.
In that department, were you the only black guy in that department?
I was the only black one
In that department, you're the only one.
After things got leveled off, everybody got to working real nice. Then they opened up another shift, but a night shift. And a lot of black guys got transferred down there.
Okay.
And they worked down there. I had sent back, couldn't make it. Then there wouldn't have been no one else down there, no other black. It would still have been a lily white place, department, you know. And
what type of racism did you? How did they treat you? What type of prejudice did you encounter? How did they treat you? Did they make work difficult for you?
One of the guys told me. So the foreman told them, says, "I'm gonna tell you fellas something. Whatever you do, you don't fool with Jim Esters. You go ahead on. If you got anything against him, you come tell us." So I didn't pick no fight. I didn't start. I just went there and done my work. Come on home.
In the South, you're doing sharecropping and farming, and you were experiencing racism there, and you come here, you're also experiencing racism.
Yeah.
What is the difference between living in Mississippi versus living in Waterloo? What's the difference?
Well, I often wonder that myself.
Really?
Yeah. But it was something. Most all them white people down there, they knew my dad and my whole family. They treated us just as nice as could be. We never had a problem. But other people, some of them, one that got caught. And
then what was the attitude of the white people here in Waterloo? Because you're dealing with white people in Mississippi. You said the people you knew well, they liked you.
Well,
what about here?
You read about people want this, and they couldn't get it because they was black. They didn't have the education. Well, I didn't have the education either, but I worked. I worked up it, and I had common sense, and I know how to get around. Well, when I was there, on election days, for president election, or whatever, we couldn't vote.
Could not vote.
No.
Mm-hmm.
The voting come in before Roosevelt got out of office.
Okay.
So I said Roosevelt about the best president we ever had.
What was your reaction to that? I mean, not being able to vote, how did you feel as a citizen, as a black man, you know? How did you feel about that? What was your reaction to that?
Because you couldn't vote?
Yeah. How did that make you feel?
Well, you'd feel kind of bad within yourself.
Mm-hmm.
But you couldn't, nothing you could do about it because you wasn't going to find nobody to help you. But you're taking other states that sometimes they would come through Mississippi maybe going to Jackson or someplace like that, you know. It's just something that's hard to understand.
Okay.
Right. And it seemed to me that they didn't want they didn't want the blacks to have no education.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They work hard to keep it.
Okay.
And
let's talk a little bit about finish up about Rath, because Rath has a very a very rich history here in Waterloo. How did you respond to when the plant closed?
huh?
When the plant closed, when it closed down, I believe it was in the 80s. What went through your mind at that point in time?
Well, when they go, I had retired then.
Okay, so
I wasn't there when they.
Okay.
I think they went down about 6 years after I retired.
Okay.
Something like that.
What was the reaction of the black community? Do you know? How did they react? Do you have any friends who were there working? How did they react to it? What did they say?
Well, there wasn't nothing they could do about it because it was closed up.
Mm-hmm.
And they had to go look for another job
Mm-hmm.
if they could find one.
It's really been fun. It's been fun listening to you. Thanks a lot.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. As a dream that I dream of my heavenly home, and I know I'm going someday, maybe morn, night or noon, I don't know just how soon, but I'm sending of my timber every day.